Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Kentucky Commons
One
Radio.
second. I was in the middle of reading.
I knew it.
Why?
Here we go again.
Why?
Two for two.
No. I need to put this on D&D so it doesn't buzz the whole time. Okay, now we're done.
We're singing haven't you in my old Kentucky home. Kentucky.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Kentucky Commons Radio Hour. I am Michael Moeller, joined tonight by David Satterley,
Meow.
John Renane.
Hello.
We are at Bluegrass Homebrew Supply in Louisville, Kentucky, and also joined by special guest Berto Freeman, head brewer at Ten20 Craft Brewery. Berto, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We are excited to have you on. We're excited to learn a little bit more about you and your background, how you got into beer, and everything that makes you you. We are also going to start off the show the same way that we always start off the show, is with a beverage to share.
Okay.
And today, specifically, we heard from a little birdie that you like Kentucky mules.
I do.
And so we
I enjoy
wanted
them
to
very
make you
much.
a mule.
Oh, I'm excited.
And John's going to make you one right now. And if you want to watch John make this mule in front of us, just frantically and all the sorts of stressed out that John always gets, you can do that on our YouTube, youtube.com/@Louisville Ale Trail. Subscribe, rate, listen to the podcast, comment. We had a guy today who isn't actually familiar with the show. I think he just found our page and shouted out, "Do mushrooms, not beer." And so shout out to that guy. Thanks for listening and watching. I mean, even people that do mushrooms and don't drink beer, still watch this podcast. So
yeah.
That's good because
Crossing the gap.
Yeah, we cover a lot of bases like cheese and pizza and now bourbon.
yeah, we have a little whiskey collection happening now too from folks that are just bringing stuff in for us. So as John is making this, tell us a little bit about well, first of all, why do you like Kentucky mules? Was there a special attraction to that or special memory?
Well, I mean, not a special memory for Kentucky mules. Like I was saying before, before we started the show, I started drinking bourbon more when I moved here, obviously, because I feel like that's the first thing you do when you touch down in Louisville is they're like, put some bourbon in your hand and you try it out. So,
Why is it brown?
well, I'm from upstate New York, Irish background, so I drank a lot of Jameson and ginger growing up. So I said, well, let's just throw some ginger in it and see how that goes. And then people are like, oh, you love, Kentucky mules. So, and I love lime, citrus forward things, especially in my cocktails. I'm a big ginger ale fan, ginger beer, any kind of ginger forward thing. So yeah, it's just pretty much my perfect cocktail. Especially the way he just made it. Not really any sugar, just the ginger beer, the lime, and the bourbon is my favorite way to do it.
And a good sharp ginger beer too.
Yeah, it's got to be good ginger beer.
Like a Canada Dry or something. Like that's good ginger ale. That's fine. But if you get some of that like OG shit that it's like, whew, it opens up your sinuses a little bit when you start drinking it. That to me tempers the bourbon and the lime. I'll let you guys squeeze your own limes because I don't know you guys that well.
Thanks. It's worth mentioning that we are using a Wilderness Trail bottled and bond. This is 100 proof. So with the Kentucky Mule, you always kind of want that sharp bourbon to ginger beer, sweeten it out a little bit. But this is
usually like 100 proof or better for my
one Haley Peros. Thank you very much.
Friend of the show, former guest.
Yeah, this is good. I'm excited for this. I've never done this just
impromptu
like this before. just pour out some ginger beer and then just pour in some bourbon. But yeah, it works. Why not?
This is like the extent of my drinking from age
Moscow Mules
18 to 23.
Yeah.
It's just just pour stuff in a
couple
glass.
ingredients, just get after it.
Well, cheers and thanks for
Yeah,
coming on.
cheers,
Happy to
cheers.
have you on.
Cheers, post.
Let's give this a quick taste.
Oh, I forgot to put the lime in.
It's great.
You know what? For being
good
just a
ginger
quick
beer.
little hodgepodge and quick stir. Yeah.
That's a good color cocktail.
The ginger beer is good. One of my favorites is from Central New York. It's from FX Matt in Utica. They actually make their own ginger beer. It's a
Ooh.
brewery there, and they make a ginger beer that I love, real crisp. That's great for this. That I always, when I go home, I try to steal that and bring it home.
I will say I did tout up that we are trying to do some not bullshit ginger beer.
That's great.
This is fine. It's not that. I like it to be like what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
What is it?
Whew,
Bunberg or whatever.
Bundaberg, actually, ginger beer, family Australian something or other.
Did we
Invert
just-
bottle before opening. Maybe that's it. But
Oh.
Yeah.
Do we just like things that end in bird?
Yeah.
It's just
people,
like that.
products.
Ryan.
I was gonna say.
This is far superior to any Moscow Mule for the
Yeah,
record.
it really
Oh, yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Moscow mules are good, and
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are good, and you get them in the little
I
tin
hate vodka,
cup.
so
But like,
See, he gets it. He gets it.
well, my point was gonna be a Kentucky Mule is like 10 million times superior.
yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I'm glad we agree. I am
Moscow
so
mules are
glad.
not good.
Okay.
This is just much better.
I love going home now and like flexing my bourbon knowledge that I've been living here and like asking a bartender and just like shooting off bourbons that I want. And they're like, we don't have any of those. And they're like, let us tell you what we have. And it's usually like Maker's Mark and like something
Beam.
simple.
Here's some here's some Widow Jane.
Yeah.
Well, so you've talked about New York for a second already. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up here.
Yeah, so I am a upstate New York native, central New York. Because when you live in the New York or the Northeast, there's a big complex of like, oh, you're upstate or downstate. When you're from actual upstate New York, you talk about where you're from in upstate New York. So it's either Western, Eastern, Central, Northern, up in the Adirondacks, close to Canada. I'm from central New York. I live close to actually the center, like there's a plaque that says, this is the center of New York. So I'm from there, born and raised, lived in New York City for a little while, Vermont for a little bit. And then during the pandemic, I was working as a teacher's assistant, working with kids with special needs and just doing a lot of just odds and end jobs. Worked in the ice cream distribution cooler for a little while, just did random stuff. And then was in between jobs because I got laid off because I was first one in, first one out kind of a thing. Got called by my brother-in-law, the original master brewer of 1020, to come down and be his assistant and apprentice.
That was Larry.
It was Larry. Yep. Larry Horowitz. He's worked all over the country.
Yeah, Larry was awesome.
And I was lucky to train and work underneath him and do that. So
And now you are the master brewer at 1020.
I'm the head brewer. Yes, I am the head brewer of 1020.
I think you're a master.
I think you're a master.
I think the master designation is something that is, it's almost like master chef or sommelier or something like that takes time, training, experience, and I hopefully someday that I can feel I want to wear that cape almost.
And a large ego. Sometimes the people who are like, I'm the master brewer, you're like, come on, man.
I was a cook for a long time too, so that like designation to me feels a lot like head chef or like master chef or something like that. So
I watch a lot of Master Chef. Like
It is
there
fun.
could be a master brewer, like if the
Yeah,
Food
that would
Network
be
picked
fun.
it up, and
Yeah.
it's
Please
just
don't.
like hours of people like,
I think Discovery Channel would do a better job with that. than the Food
you-
Network.
contestants, you have 15 minutes left. I haven't sparged.
I'm just waiting for this to clean still. Like I'm
Yeah.
just sitting here.
I'm just way behind.
I
on
have
my
no
sanity.
clean kegs.
It'd be a very boring show to watch, actually.
Yeah, they're just cleaning things frantically in the corner.
Well, rechecking the computer, like, yeah, I guess that recipe's right.
Yeah.
What
Now
was he? Yeah. Okay.
Contestants will return in 4 to 6 weeks to see if this beer actually made it. I feel like the longest running reality TV show.
I like that a lot. So it sounds like you've had a lot of jobs. It's my understanding that you've also been a firefighter as well.
Yeah, I was a volunteer firefighter for 10-ish years in central New York. And I was EMT as well for about 8-ish years there too. Young age, started at like 18 and then was on for a long time, on and off doing that. I enjoyed that a lot. Then I even tried the career route in Burlington, Vermont for a while. Loved it. Great group of people out there. Just found out that the job aspect of it wasn't for me. I liked more of the volunteering aspect of it, and just wanted something more personal and working with people and stuff like that. And then just kind of worked my way into corporate America, as many millennials do, unfortunately.
I'm so sorry.
And did that for about 5 years. Moved down to New York City, lived in Queens, and worked on Long Island, working for a corporation. I won't say their name.
What industry?
Laundry. Dirty towels and clothes and
Okay.
uniforms.
Okay.
So
Okay.
one of the big ones, and they're local to this
I think I
region.
know which one. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did them for a long time. Great job, good opportunities, but just as any person who actually has a good work ethic and like likes to do their job and like go in and like actually do a good job, I got promoted a lot and then got bogged down and stressed out and decided to leave. That there was some early rumblings there because Larry, my head brewer, brewer actually had an opportunity in that area to do something, but it kind of fell through in like the Jersey area, and then it kind of just came into fruition later on. I'm a big believer in like, you know, if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. You know, just kind of go with life and let it like come to you, kind of a thing, and don't say no. I mean, that's why I think that's why I've had so many jobs, is because I've just said yes a lot and just been like, yeah, I'll try that out. Let's see, it could be fun. So yeah, the firefighting was a big part of my life, and then it transferred into corporate, which I hated, and then eventually got down to this road of brewing, which is like, I think one of the best mixes for myself, because I get to do the physical aspects. I was also a cook for a long time, young age, working in kitchens, handwork, and I think I correlate that a lot with brewing, you know, cleanliness, you know, staying on top of recipes, you know, being prepared, things like that. So that it correlates a lot with brewing, in my opinion.
It's kind of a good blend of like art and science too.
Exactly,
because to be a good cook, you kind of have to know how to weigh things out, be aware of
and
chemistry.
you can't use certain things for certain things, but you can, like, you know, you can experiment and play around with it, and, you know, nudge the recipe a little bit here and there for your liking, right?
And also say your story too. Like we talk, I mean, we're all of a similar like age, growing up in this like culture time that we're all growing up in, this economy. And like you were saying, just kind of saying yes and bouncing around, that to me is like how a lot of people find the things that becomes their true like path or calling or whatever. Not even exist, but saying yes, that really resonated with me.
Not being afraid to like just try something, right? I mean, like, I think we come from the culture, like you said, like our age group, that our previous cultures before us, our parents and relatives, that are from like, you know, you never quit your job, you work there from 9 to 5.
Watch.
Yeah, you get the gold watch, do that for years. I've never been afraid to be like, you know what, this just isn't for me. Like, this actually sucks. I don't want to do this anymore.
I was a mechanic in a previous life.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, briefly.
Huh. You're pretty good at fixing the cars.
No, I was bad at it. That's why I'm not a mechanic.
I was a lot of things in a previous life, because
Yeah,
I always had like 2 part-time jobs throughout
me too.
high school and college, and then I'd also add on an internship here and there. And I'm looking back, and I completely forgot about this memory until a second ago, is that there was a time when I was taking the Louisville Fire Department test.
Yeah.
So I passed the written test, and then I did the physical, and they had me running up the tower with the hoses across my shoulder, and that's the first asthma attack I had in like 20 years.
Wow, yeah.
And so I came down, I was just like, I'm having an asthma attack. I'm out of here. Like I remember doing the wrench on the fire hydrant, and it was like, oh, this is easy. In the ladder you have to put up, and I was like, oh, but the running up the steps, couldn't do it at the time.
Yeah, my physical test for my job in Burlington was actually kind of funny. I heard like last minute from a friend when I was in college, because for college I didn't do the normal college route. I did more of like it's an internship kind of thing where you like live in a local fire department, but then go to school. I went to school for fire protection. I have a degree in fire protection technology and stuff like that.
Cool.
And
that's way better than college.
Yeah, I'm
fuck.
It's a accredited division for like the national, so I'm nationally certified firefighter 1, firefighter 2, have a bunch of like certifications for firefighting, but I went there for school for that, and then you lived in like the local, because Syracuse was the hub town where I'm from. That's like the big city there, which Syracuse and Louisville actually kind of remind me a lot, but that's another story. But Syracuse is the big town there, and we lived outside of that in the towns around it, and you know, their call logs is a lot different from my hometown. My hometown's call logs anywhere from 350 calls a year to like the place I lived in was like 1,000.
Wow.
So you're going on multiple calls a day. And then that's the benefit of that, is you live in these firehouses. They have dorms for you. You do some chores and go on calls during the daytime, but then you have to go to school. So it was fun to do that. And I had like a different like experience for college, but I gained a lot of knowledge from it, and a lot of like, you know, intuition of like, you know, work hard, do your stuff, and things will come to you if you really try. So it was a good experience for me, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Anecdotally, I will say that a lot of the volunteer firefighters here in Louisville, at least, are home brewers. And a couple times a week, the fire truck will pull up out there while they're like on their whatever. Yeah. 2 or 3 of them all run in at once. They'll usually call ahead, so I'll have it ready.
That's the joke in the fire world, like, you know, because, you know, obviously they don't smoke or do anything like that. Yeah. They drink. And firefighters can drink, let me tell you. So,
and are pretty good home brewers, at least from the guys here in town.
Yeah.
They also have great parking.
Yeah, park anywhere you want.
They park right outside of Kroger, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. They're in the fire lane. I guess it's theirs. I mean,
exactly.
There's no fire. But
my sub thought on that, I forgot, I lost my train of thought already. For you, when you said my experience was, you know, they're like, hey, you've missed the deadline for the testing period, the physical test, but they're like, if you can get any national certification test, which you can do through these organizations, we'll let you come and like take the exam and stuff like that. So me and my buddy flew down to Florida actually for like a trip. It was a good time, and we like like did the test and did the physical thing and stuff like that. And it was funny. I've always been a bigger guy, and it was really funny to be there and be like intimidated by these guys who've been like really training for this. And I just went up there and, me and my buddies went up there and knocked it out. And there was like, one guy literally said to me verbatim, he came up to me, he's like, "You just Warren Sapp that shit." And just like did it. It was like one of the best moments of my life. It was really funny. And then we actually got really too drunk that night after and went to some strip clubs because Florida's famous for them. My friend was actually a bartender at strip club, so we just like were out way too late, missed our flight, had to drive to Orlando the next day. It was a fun time, but it was interesting to say the
You've been
least.
training in the altitude of New York.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I want to know if there was a physical test to be a brewer. Did you pass that, or what's that?
I guess so. Right?
Okay.
Can you like day drink and then like still be functional? Like,
Chug 2 pints and then carry a 50-pound grain sack.
Yeah, I will say we do have a thing where like we do a lot of tasters, like we'll taste stuff throughout the day, but we really don't start drinking until we have a rule in the brewery, in my brewery at least, that it's like if it's like after like 4:30, 5 o'clock, like if you don't have a beer in your hand and you're still working, like there's something wrong.
Yeah.
So we try not to drink too much during the day because we're just doing a lot of stuff.
Get shit done. Yeah. And that's how you make mistakes or
like
whatever.
we do a taster, and especially when we're doing collabs, we'll tend to have like some taste and do some stuff and pull stuff out of the barrels and try stuff for fun. But
you don't drink until the boil.
Yeah.
Well, those knockout beers.
The next move was kind of what brought you into craft beer. Was beer or craft beer something you were into while you were in that entire world? Was that a part of your life?
I mean, upstate New York, Vermont, especially Vermont, Burlington, all the areas, just huge in craft beer. And where I'm from, some of the stuff we've already kind of talked about, where I'm from, Central New York, Utica, New York, FX Matt, Saranac, family generational brewery, been there for decades. Famous for their Thursday night, Saranac Thursdays and stuff like that. It's like a big culture and anchor in that area. So beer is just a driven thing there. But like just craft beer in general, I've always been a quote unquote, beer brewery dude. Living in New York, it's very expensive to go out, but it's much cheaper to go get a pint at your local brewery than it is, and more fun and welcoming, I always thought. And there's a lot of breweries in New York City and the Vermont area. So I just found myself at breweries a lot and made friends that way, and just learned a lot about, craft beer just by going to breweries and checking them out and stuff like that. I have fun fact. I was at Other Half one time. They do releases a lot in Brooklyn, and my friend was like, "You gotta go. They're doing some crazy like collaboration. Go for me." He was a father, had kids, and he was like begging me to go. And I go there and I'm waiting in line. And I parked my car like an asshole in the McDonald's next to it, which clearly had signs like, "If you're not a customer, you're gonna get towed." And I'm sitting in there, and the line is literally like around a city block in New York City, and I'm like talking to people and having a good time, because like releases, like I wish we had releases like that, like they do in New York here, where people just like literally line up for like hours to get beer. But we're sitting there in line talking, having conversations, and all of a sudden my car comes by on a flatbed.
Oh, no.
And I look at the guy next to me. I'm like, "That's my car." And they're like, "Go, we'll hold your spot." And then like they didn't, but I ended up having to like force this guy to like let my car off for like $500. It was ridiculous. My friend was like, "I'll pay you half the thing." It was ridiculous.
You could have just bought like 2 McChickens and
I know.
saved yourself all that trouble.
I look back at it now with regret, but
Just put the receipt on the dash.
Yeah.
Like,
I bought a McMuffin.
yeah, come on.
Yeah.
A question I have about like the whole New England, New York, especially like, kind of beer economy, beer community, beer culture, or whatever. Here in Kentucky and whatever, we're all kind of Louisvillians, natives. It seems like that right around 2008, maybe 2009 is when like the first kind of craft breweries started popping up. And it doesn't seem like we had anything much like that was integrated into the community since pre-prohibition. But my intuition is that up in New England, like the pub culture stayed on a little bit more than it did down here. Was that something that was...
Yeah, I mean, like I grew up going to my local bar. Yeah, I mean, like we have a bar. Shout out the Marble Hill Inn, Central New York. That's like your like rite of passage, right? Like, I mean, like you go there for lunch, you go there for your events. You have your. I'm an ordained minister. Shout out if you need a wedding, I can do that for you.
Or put out a fire after the.
I've done weddings at the Marble Hill Inn, my local pub and like bar. You know what I mean? Like in that culture there, and they try to if something's new and exciting in that area, they try to get it on tap, right? And then shout them out. They're a small little bar, but they're great. You know what I mean? They have a really great tap list because they're really trying to hone in on that local culture. And that's the thing I love about craft beer. It's just so like locally centricated and like talking about what's local, what's fresh, what's there, and those local pubs, like you're saying, are like really driving that force, and we're driving that back at that time. You know what I mean?
It sounds like our knock bar.
Yeah. Nyalk Bar was one of those ones. Yeah. There's a few in Lexington that were doing that, but yeah.
Well, it's like our only thing because there's literally only one bar in Sherrill, New York, where I'm from.
So just real fast, we don't need to spend too much time on this. Do you have like a top 3? Like if you're visiting, let's say New York City, I'm not going to name like a specific borough, but if you're just visiting New York, what are the can't miss beer bars?
Oh, for sure. Well, bars or breweries?
Beer bars.
Beer bars. See, beer bars, I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, like, I'm sure there's a ton of them. I frequent breweries mainly. I can tell you some bars that are fun. Like, yeah, for breweries, I'm hitting up, Grimm Artisanal Ales in Brooklyn. One of the prettiest tap rooms I've ever seen in my life. And I selfishly know one of the brewers there. He's a really good friend. And then just really good beer there. Other half, obviously, in Brooklyn, also really good. In Queens, Single Cut
Single Cut is super good.
Single Cut's really good. Their tap room also really cool. I used to live right by there too, so that was one of my go-to spots. Bar culture, like the things that we're used to here in Louisville, like those gritty, fun bars that we love. Alligator Lounge in Brooklyn. It's like one of the only places you can go get a pint, a shot, and a single small pizza for like $11.
Whoa!
And it's amazing. So they give you like you buy the
That'll be in the
pint.
show notes.
You buy the pint and a shot special, and they give you like a little ticket, and then you go up to the guy and he's like yelling at you and like, how many you want? And you give them to him, and it comes out this. It's a tiny little pizza, but it's actually really good. And
sometimes a tiny pizza is exactly what you need.
But you keep buying the shot and special, which you do, you know, when you're at a dive bar, and so you just like keep getting
6 pizzas.
Yeah, you eat like 6 pizzas, and you're just like good the whole night. It's great.
I am surprised Suarez family didn't make it into that list.
Yeah, I'm sure I might have frequented there, but I just I also worked so much in corporate America that I didn't get to go out that much, unfortunately. I was just like literally working myself to the bone.
That's what sucks.
I did like your point about the breweries being cheaper than going out.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. It's not like the exact same here, but it's kind of like there's a little bit of an inverse there where like sometimes the brewery's a little more expensive than like finding the beer on tap locally somewhere.
So my New York City plan is different from anywhere else I go, because if I'm traveling, I usually try to hit up the breweries because I'm just like I know what I want. This is where I'll go. With New York being as so big as it is, and I don't know which borough. Like I try to go stay in a new borough every time.
Yeah.
I try to find the quote unquote beer bars that I know will be carrying beers from other areas of the city. So that way I have access to everything at once. So I was writing down things that I've been to before. Blind Tiger was a big one. Proletariat. And then one was Terst in Brooklyn. And I don't even know if Terst is still open.
Yeah.
That was the
it's so
Evil
big,
Twin.
like
Evil Twin.
Yeah. Evil Twin is great.
So it was the Evil Twin dude. What's his name?
Oh god.
Yepa.
Yeah.
He opened Terst in Brooklyn, and that was a great spot. But yeah, I think I've maybe been to one brewery in New York City all the times I've
well, they have a brewery trail. They have like a book that you can grab and go through.
God damn it, they stole that from us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but they have that. You can do that, and like I always suggest people when you go to New York, if you're gonna do like a short trip, like you said, pick a borough and like do that borough. Like if you've been to Times Square, you've been to Times Square. You don't need to go back. But unless you haven't been to McSwirly's, which is the oldest bar in the world. I have a great story for that. We were there Christmas Eve one time, or Christmas time, with some friends. Somebody came in really drunk with a group of people, and they had a list of Christmas songs, and one was the 12 Days of Christmas. And if anyone doesn't know, McSwirly's oldest bar in the world in New York, they only give you light or dark. They give you 2 pints. It's 2 like steins, like light or dark, and they slam them down. So if you order 1 beer, you're getting 2-ish beers.
That's fucking awesome.
It's great. It's great. It's so small in there because it's Manhattan, and like they force you to sit next to people, so you have to talk to people. And the time we were there was really fun. It was Christmas time, which is a great time in New York. And this guy comes in with like, they had like a mini Christmas tree in their hands, and they had like all these like carols and stuff. We did the 12 Days of Christmas, and they handed out a section of the 12 Days of Christmas to each table, and we had that, and we just went around the bar. So me and my friends can say, yes, we sang Christmas carols at McSwirly's, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. It was fun. So that's what I love about New York. Like I don't look things up before I go. I didn't look things up when I lived there. It's like I found myself was in a lot better shape when I was there, because you walk like 50 blocks and don't even think about it.
It's hard to walk in Louisville.
Yeah,
it's
it's not. You just move your legs.
Well, it sucks to walk.
You pick a neighborhood and walk, but like in New York, you can just like literally walk, and then you're on a train, and then you're somewhere else, and you're walking more. So that's my best thing I tell people is like pick an area and then just walk, just check things out.
Other quick rapid fire New York question.
Yeah.
Favorite bagel?
Type of bagel?
Spot.
Bagel spot. Oh, well, hole in the wall spots. I mean, just any place that's doesn't look like it's a chain. There is one in Queens. I can't remember the name in my head. It's in Long Island. It's in Astoria. It's a very tiny little bagel spot off of like Ditmars Avenue on the corner of like 32nd or something like that in that area. I can look it up if you're looking for things. I can give you that info later.
Yeah.
But just go to some place where it looks like somebody's been doing this for a generational family thing. Don't walk into some fancy boutique. You know, we've got 19,000 cream cheeses that we've made not by hand. Just go to a spot that looks like that's what I do. I'm a foodie. Like I like to go to a place that like you'd walk by it and you would never know they're making food out of there. And that's the best bagels. I mean, but it's got to be water boiled, obviously.
Yeah. I had a job that I didn't stick around for too long earlier last year in 2022. But the great thing about it was based in Manhattan. The office was in Manhattan. And then right across the street was Essa Bagel.
Mm-hmm,
and that's one of those places I think that you're describing is just like kind of a big corporate-y kind of.
Yeah.
I think they only have like 3 locations, but it was still very chainy.
Yeah.
But I did find out that you can have them shipped here to Louisville. So.
Yeah.
Is it the water?
I think it's the water boiling. Like they actually take the care of it. Like there are good bagels in this town. Like, you know, what is it? The one over on Payne Street Bagels. They're great. My only qualm with them, they're a little small. I'm used to bigger bagels, but they're great. Like their bagel quality is perfect and they're making them well. Mayan Bagel Express over there. I don't know where it is.
That place actually is pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be a little more like deli-esque.
Mhm.
It's more like a mixture of like a fast casual bagel spot. I want it to be like, you know, I can get a, you know, chopped cheese on a bagel. I can do something that I want, like weird requests, which they will to their own. They're doing a good job and doing a lot of fun things and stuff like that. And they do request, but like, there's no, like, I'm probably gonna get flack for this. Like, there's no good bagel deli spot here, which I miss.
No, I don't think we're.
Yeah,
we're not. I don't think we're characteristic.
Yeah.
Do you have any good tattoo shops in New York that you would recommend?
Tattoo shops. Timeless Tattoo in Baldwinsville, New York is a good one.
Specifically of chocolates I could get.
Of chocolates. Oh, you mean Hershey Kisses? Yes. I know who your little birdie is now. Yes, Hershey Kisses are a great tattoo idea, especially with a fireman and a caricature face on it.
I don't think we were given those details.
Yeah. Well, like I talked about, me and my friends are firefighters. One of my groups of friends are firefighters from upstate New York, and we had a long tradition where it's actually beer related. We would go to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania every year as a boys trip, and we would stay at the Blue Green Suites, shout out, right next to Trogs. It's literally like there's awesome. A hill between Trogs and Trogs is one of my favorite breweries in all of America. There's nothing better than a tall Troganator fresh from the taps, and the food's really good there too. And we would go there every single year. Explore Harrisburg and Hershey and do that stuff, and we're all firemen. So we had as you get older and you have friends and you have like customs where you go out and do things like, you know, yearly with each other. You know, some people can't show up some years, and there was one year where it was only 4 of us. We're like, we're doing this because usually it's like anywhere from 5 to like 8 guys that go on this trip. One year was like 4 of us, and we're doing this, and we got there and we're like, screw it, we're getting tattoos. So we got a little Hershey Kiss because we're in Hershey, Pennsylvania. We're firemen, so we got a little hat. It's got to have a face with a little grimace. Shout out Grimace Challenge. It looks like a little grimace. My one friend does because he doesn't have a chin, so it looks like grimace. So we all got Hershey Kisses, and we were like, where are you gonna get a Hershey Kiss? I'm like, obviously on our ass. So it's on my right cheek, which actually, funnily, I have a good amount of tattoos, and that was the easiest tattoo I ever got. But the funniest part of that whole story was the tattoo artist looked us in the face, and he was like, you either have to clench or not clench. And
you got to keep it consistent.
Because you have to, because like with tattooing, like you have to be still, and like you either got to clench or not clench. And me and my buddy were like, easy, we're not going to clench. We're just going to be loose. The one French puckered for 30 minutes.
That's insane.
Just clenched. And I was like, I'm impressed. Like he gave him breaks, sure, but like he was good for a good portion of like 25 minutes. He was clenched.
That's amazing.
Like, I'm impressed.
I love it.
You like walk into a tattoo shop and you're like, I want Hershey Kiss.
I messaged messaged this guy on Instagram. I DM'd him before because we didn't live there, so I was like looking for tattoo parts in the area, and I was like just DMing them like, "Hey, can we get a group of like 3-4 guys in there to tattoos?" Our one friend didn't get it, and we still shame him to this day,
appropriately.
But he just got scared. And we're like,
got this
fine.
poor tattoo artist. Like, oh fuck,
He had a blast.
I haven't done anything this week. I gotta shave all these dudes' asses now.
So before you came to Louisville, and before you moved down here, were you aware of kind of Southern culture, Kentucky culture? Had you visited? Were you kind of like?
I have never been here in my entire life, and I only knew about the Derby, really. And
so talk us through just about what made you interested in doing it, and what made you want to say yes, and then what was your experience like coming down here and getting into the beer world?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the yes part was everything we just talked about, right? Being a beer guy, enjoying it, just like really loving the culture, and then just like the chance to learn a trade. I think that's like a very valued thing that we don't get in this today's day and age that much.
Agree.
And like being an apprentice and like doing something like that, and then just learning about the culture as much as I did before I was in it, and then just learning about like, oh man, like you could be like really immersed in it and like be a driver of it and like enjoy the community that it involves, and that just was an opportunity that I just couldn't pass up, right? And we talked a little bit about before this too, that homebrew shops. I had a homebrew shop in Brooklyn that I went to just to check out, and did a class there and had a great time. And that was like a spark in my mind, like, man, this is really fun, and it's really not that hard. Like in the big scheme of it, you know what I mean? Like we're just boiling some malt, throwing some sugar in there, and then we had a good time. I had a good time with that. First batch of beer was horrible, I'll be honest with you, because I just like put it in my closet and forgot about it for like a month. But it was just a good time. And when I had the opportunity to come down here and like being a cook and knowing that life of like cleaning and working and like making a product and working with customers, and I had the opportunity too when I first moved down here, because I was just the assistant working, a good amount of hours, not making much money, to also work the front of the house. So I had like a weird experience in my own company,
which is usually invaluable in the long run.
Yeah, I'm happy that I did it, because one, I built that rapport with the front of the house and let them know like, hey, like I get it, like I know what you're going through, but also just to know like what the culture is here in Louisville, and talk to the people that are coming here and like why they're coming to our breweries and like what they like and stuff like that, and just like educate the people that are coming in. And they're like, they look at behind you and there's giant tanks, and they're like, is this a brewery? I'm like, no, we're just manufacturing weird things. But yes, like but yeah, it's just fun to talk to people and learn experiences. And like, as much as people don't understand, like Louisville is a tourist town, and a lot of people come in here that aren't from here and go to these breweries, and it's fun to be like a representation of the town that I'm not from, but have grown to love and bought my first house here, and am pretty rooted here now, and enjoy and like just represent the culture and the aspect of it. And everyone's really nice here in Louisville too, especially the beer culture. And it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Being an ambassador in this town, breweries or otherwise aside, is always like a fun thing to do, because it is a tourist town, like whether you want to admit it or not.
Yeah.
But they're we're significant in the people that live here, and the people that live here generally really like it, and there's a reason they stay. But what was the term we coined, like the vortex? Like if you live in Louisville and you move away, eventually you'll come back. So
yeah. Oh, my girlfriend is a perfect case of that. Actually, she's from Massachusetts, from the Boston water area, like the ocean area, shores area. Sorry, I'm not from the ocean, so I don't know that.
Shores.
The shores. She's from there. She moved down here for a job at GE. Did that for a while. Decided to go back to Boston for a while, tried it out, lived in Boston again for a little while, and just decided, she's like, hey, like I have another opportunity in Louisville and I really liked it there and I'm going to go back. And she's been here for, I think a little over 5 years now, longer than I have. And it's, I was reading some article the other day about just like, just the whole migration to the South. It's a big thing right now. People are leaving the bigger coastal cities and moving to the South, the Carolinas, Louisville, Tennessee. I mean, Nashville, I think, is reported as the #1 booming city in America.
Yeah.
Like it's an interesting thing. And like, I had some, not qualms, but definitely some like what the hell are you doing? It's the middle of a pancetta and you are going to middle of the South. And but I was like, why not? Let's try it out. And it's been fun ever since.
As not a Southern boy, like I would argue that you seem to kind of be like a fish in water down here. Like you seem to kind of,
yeah.
I would mistake you for a Louisvillian or Kentuckian any day of the week. Is that offensive?
No, not at all. Because where I come from actually is very like country and rural, and like my hometown is 2.5 square miles surrounded by farmland.
Yeah.
I'm a farm boy adjacent. I never lived on a farm, but I could smell it. And, but I definitely like have like very rural background. We are, it's very small towns, very small, populations in that area. I mean, my high school held the state FFA championship almost every year. We had like there'd be pranks where people would bring cows and let them out in the field, and like we'd have ride your tractor to school day. So like
so you basically lived in Kentucky.
I basically lived in Kentucky. Yeah, so it's funny because like when I moved to New York City, I told them where I'm from and all of that, and all these New York City people were like, oh, you're a farm boy, you're a country boy. So they used to call me country all the time, and I'm like, I'm from like 4 hours from here, upstate.
So we've talked a lot about your background now, and would like to talk a little bit about what you're doing for 1020 right now, and about the brand itself. You've had a chance and opportunity over the last few years to watch it grow.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about 1020 and what it means to the community.
So we are 3 locations now, hopefully 4 by the end of the year, maybe next year. And I think we are trying to just be like, a local community hub. I mean, like, we put it on our walls, we put it on our glasses, we say it to people, bringing people together for good, and we're just really trying to be like a part of the community, right? I mean, we have a big space in the Butchertown location, which has really been great for events. I mean, like I joke around all the time. I go, yeah, we're a brewery like / event space. Like, every day we have something going on. It's crazy. Like I walk out there and the things that we see going on in the brewery. I mean, we've had everywhere from llamas and the camels in the back to weddings, so I think we really work with the community. I mean, for a long time, we work with like nonprofits and give them our spaces for either nothing or next to nothing. And, we also, work with bigger parts of the city to small, we try to just like really bring in the community and be a part of it. And, we're picking locations in Louisville, across the river in Indiana and Clarksville purposely to be close to, the action of this area and like, Ohio River Valley, in this area, Kentuckiana, because we have our founders are from the Indiana, now live in Louisville area, and we're just trying to be that like hub and spoke kind of model, like where the brewery is the hub and then our outliers are a spoke, and then you can get some kind of the same experience at each location. And really, our Anchorage location now is I'm very impressed with what they're doing out there, and how much beer they're selling, and just like the event space that they're using, and just really bringing the community involved with it. And it's been a lot of fun to see that grow and change and be a new thing every day.
That's always been like a question mark. I think you answered it like pretty sufficiently, but like you guys opened and then within maybe a year or slightly less had another satellite location, which is really for this area is not heard of.
Yeah.
You guys were maybe the first.
Yeah. No.
Against the Grain Public House was before that, maybe?
Against the Grain was in
definitely
Japan. Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Well, they also had the Public House and the time. I mean, if you look at the trend zone, that's what our owners and our group is trying to do. You make more money nowadays pouring a beer over your own bar, right?
Yeah.
The great thing about being in Kentucky and being in Louisville, because of the Kentucky Guild of Brewers, has fought for us to have self-distribution, and us self-distributing to ourselves is the best way for a small business to keep thriving, right? I mean, if you can't, instead of distribution and putting it out there in the world, if we can just bring it to our own bar and serve it over the counter there and create a space that was nothing like, Anchorage was a vacant space, you know what I mean? And we took it over and made it something now that the public really loves, with their, fun clubs they have and just people visiting there and stuff like that. And, and kudos to us, like we make more money doing that way and like can grow our business and like, give it back to our employees and to our community.
And it's so illogical that you shouldn't be able to do it that way. Like to me, it just blows my mind that there had to be that much of a fight for a brewery to be able to take its beer to its own places, had to go through all that stuff. But yeah, to your point, that it was an exceptionally good piece of work by the KGB. even though it's ridiculous that there happened to be a
it's
situation
ridiculous.
that existed.
I mean, right over the river in Ohio, I think they're up to like 1 million barrels or something like that. They can just self-distribute, and hopefully we'll continue to work to push that narrative and get more barrels here in the state. But like just having that alone is a great thing for us to have. So.
Well, not every small craft brewery can kind of like front the real estate cost of that too. So I think that's a major hurdle.
Yeah.
The model does work for you guys though.
Yeah. I mean, we are, we don't own those locations. They are leased locations, but they're great for us to have that. Right. And be able to, it's another avenue for us to make money off of. Like, yeah, it's a cost, you know what I mean? Everything we do. I mean, Butchertown alone is, it's a prime location that, we pay a lot of money to be a part of that area, but we enjoy it. I mean, just in the 3.5 years that I've been here, the Nulu area is completely different.
Yeah.
Like, it's wild to see that change and to be a part of that, and like to be able to say like, hey, when I moved here 3 years ago, to drive down this road and see this change and be a part of that between the, Bachfest and Nulu Fest and Summerfest, and like all these things that we're a part of, and we pay all those dues. Like, we're a part of all the local community like organizations, and we pay our dues for that, and contribute to the community in that way. And it's just really fun to be like helping growing the community of, like you guys are with, the Louisville Ale Trail and stuff like that, and the radio podcast. Like, it just really creating a culture here of, beer centric, places to go to and hang out.
So my question, just from like a, guy home brewing as you started out, coming to the place where you are now, what was that transition like for you from, home? We'll skip this part. You don't have to describe it, but you start out doing it, on a 5-gallon scale, and then you come and kind of help do it at a production level. And then year or 2 years ago, you became we'll say master, the head brewer.
Head brewer 6-7 months ago.
Okay,
actually,
it's been
very
recent.
But
what was that transition like?
Transition, right? The first 6 months to a year, you're learning a lot, absorbing, and then as any good assistant brewer, they become the person who's actually doing the majority of the lift. So I've been brewing the majority of the beer for
cleaning the tri-clams
for 2 years now. Now I've been the one who's brewing that beer. So like when it was my time and I was able to step up, like I've been doing it, you know what I mean? So that was a nice transition. But to come in from the, basically never brewing to like working full production and pumping out 20 barrel batches was terrifying at first, you know what I mean? Because being my cook and like firefighting background, they're both task oriented, right? Like, you have to do this, to do that. And brewing's a lot like that too as well. But you have that anxiety of like, damn, like if I pull the wrong level or, put the wrong thing in right now, I'm going to completely ruin this entire batch of beer. So it was terrifying at first, but you just got to do it and get in there and have fun with it. And like, my biggest like thing about Louisville that I love in the beer community is just the knowledge that you learn from working with other breweries and being able to collaborate. I mean, we work a lot with Shipping Port. We brew other beer for other breweries when they're in a pinch and they need to like just put up a batch real quick. We do a lot of that, and just, collaborations, and just, I've worked at other breweries. I worked for a little while at Shipping Port Brewery when I was assistant still, just trying to get a couple hours and just, break up the monotony of working in the same place for 50 plus hours a week.
Yeah.
I worked there behind the bar for a little bit and helped out there. Just the community aspect of just like being able to call somebody up and being like, hey, what do you think about this? Or shoot them a recipe and like talk to them about it. Or, hey, I'm low on this kind of malt. Do you have a bag I can swap for you? Like, that kind of stuff is like, I knew that was a thing in brewing, but I didn't think it was like as deep as it was. Or, I don't really know other cities and how they work, but like Louisville for sure is that community is like very strong and tight knit, and it's awesome to see that,
Yeah.
So it's been fun to like learn from other people in this town, right, and like continue that tradition.
Kentucky, it's that friendly.
Yeah, right.
It's like what our runner used to be.
Well, I do want to go ahead and take a little bit of a berg break right now.
Yeah, let's do that.
We've been enjoying these mules and some other beers at the table. So this is I'm not going to say a Louisville thing, but it is kind of a Louisville thing.
It is now.
Yeah, I mean, you can find it across the country.
What year were you born, Mueller?
91.
As of 1991, it's been a Louisville thing.
I'm flattered. what was your first interaction with Underberg? Did you ever have it outside of Louisville, or was this
No,
the first time?
Never heard of it, never seen it. My first interaction was actually at 1020. Somebody brought some in, and they were like, "Here, you should try this." And I did, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting."
Was it Liz?
No.
Well, for those that have not been listening and are unaware, it's a digestive.
Yeah.
It's made with herbs from over 40 countries. Like, that's so many herbs from different countries, guys.
Yeah.
The reason that people started to make this is officially a digestive. An aperitif is the thing you would drink before a meal to kind of like whet your appetite. What did Benjamin Franklin say? Like, hunger is the best pickle or whatnot. Like, the pickles used to be like different things with dill and whatnot. Yeah. Underberg is a digestive. So after you engage in a heavy bout of either drinking or eating a heavy meal or just like bowling a lot or smoking a lot of cigars or like whatever the heck you guys are smoking, it's kind of just a way to reset your palate, reset your tummy, and just kind of give everything a good little wash of what I would assume has to be full of different like prebiotic and just big old weird chemicals that your body just likes.
And it's been enjoyed for over 175 years, so you know it's good.
It's like a blanket for your intestines. Is how.
Did you know that Underberg is barrel aged?
No.
Yep, it's aged in Slovakian oak.
Oh.
Now you know. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Prost.
The thing is that when you have the headphones on, it's kind of like having the earplugs in. You can hear the little glug in your ears. Yeah. I'll try to replicate it for the listeners someday. We'll do like a Underberg ASMR. Okay, that's good. That'll go up on our Patreon.
I will say the more you do it, the more you get used to it.
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then you start to love it. It's just like IPAs. Like the first time you drink a double IPA, you're like, oh, this is so bitter. But then you're like,
the first time I had a beer, like when I was young, and, you know, too young to have a beer. I mean, I was like, what is this? But, you know, you learn to love it.
Speaking of like beers that you have as like intro beers, I think you brought us a couple show and tells. Is that maybe
I brought them for you guys, yes, because that's all I have left. But yes, I brought a upstate New York classic, the Utica Club. And it has a fun background story, actually. I was doing my research today. It is the first beer that was sold after Prohibition was lifted. You know, it's an American theme here, right after the 4th. And it actually, during the Prohibition, they had a soda line, the FX Matt Brewing. They had a soda line called the Utica Club where they made like ginger ales and things like that. They made some near beers in the time that was basically Utica Club at the time. They were famous for putting on the bottle like, don't put yeast in it and don't put it in a cool area for like a month, and like made a near beer during the Prohibition. Yeah, and they like had the soda line and stuff like that, like I said. And then as soon as Prohibition was lifted, like very soon after, Utica Club was released and sold. So it was the first beer sold after Prohibition.
You would have fooled me because this label is like straight out of the early 80s.
It looks legit as shit.
Well, that's the point, because like if you look at them up, they don't do any big advertising. They're like, they were popular. I think you're right, in like the 80s, like mid 80s, like late 70s, and then into the late 80s, 90s, they kind of fell off. Like, we're not as popular, but have always been popular where I'm from in Utica, New York.
You can always tell because the can like over explains what it is.
Yeah.
Like XX pure Pilsner lager beer.
My favorite beer thing of all time.
Choices
hops.
Yeah.
Choices hops is my favorite line.
Absolutely pure. It's the first beer sold in the United States after Prohibition.
Yeah.
Like Sam Adams used to do all those like ads like on social or on media where they would like show like the brewers out in the hop yards like smelling the hops.
Yeah.
Like these guys were clearly doing the same thing with those.
Well, they had a famous
hops.
ad. They had like two
God.
like steins that were like talking. That was their big thing.
I love this because I can already smell it. And
yeah, it's a.
You give me a little. You do the can.
It's the choices hops that you're smelling.
This is choicest hops.
Yes,
choicest hops.
Dude, this is right up my alley.
Yeah, it's a great like local. I mean, I compare it to our fairs here.
Yeah,
right? Like
Jeff Faith was on 2 podcasts before this one will come out, if my math is right. But the same idea.
Yeah,
yep.
It's a local beer.
It smells like a beer made in the 80s.
It's a beer.
I'm not sure what that means.
It also says 2004, the West End Brewing Company of Utica, New York. SchultzandDooleyOnline.com.
Yeah, Utica, New York. Shout out.
It smells like a goddamn American.
Yeah.
Ooh. Not that refined lager.
I like that.
And I'm here
it's
for
really
it.
good.
Yeah, nice.
I'll be bringing more home when I go. I'm going home in 3 weeks.
I would kill
and I'll bring
so many of
I'm
these.
gonna bring it. Oh, people do.
Oh, on a pontoon or
I was gonna say, you know what this beer is for? It's for like fishing.
Yeah,
this is a fishing beer.
Well, there's a famous in upstate New York. There's a lot of rivers, and they do a lot of river floating, where they a bunch of people get together.
We call it tubing here in Kentucky.
They tie a bunch of rafts together, and they just float down the river. And then that's a lot of Utica clubs are crushed down.
Hell,
those
believe
days.
it.
This is good.
This is fantastic.
Yeah.
This is like Milwaukee's best if it was like
Better.
Pitches better, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a huge culture in Utica. It's crazy. I mean, because like I said, FX Matt, they got really popular. I was doing my research before I came here tonight. They got really popular in the 90s with the Saranac brand. If you're not familiar with the Adirondacks, Saranac Lake is a very famous lake up there. Beautiful up there. So they came out with the Saranac craft beer because they've been making Utica Club for years and some other stuff. They actually do a lot of contract brewing because they have a huge brewery, huge copper brew house. It's really pretty. But they do Brooklyn Brewing. They do some contract brewing, stuff like that. Anybody who needs a bunch of beer put up at one time, they call them in the upstate New York area. But they were just making a lot of Utica Club and things like that. And then they divided out and started doing craft beer, late 80s, early 90s when craft beer was really starting to roll and go. They started the Saranac brand. So now you see it's FX Matt Saranac. That's really what has kept them alive, is that Saranac brand. And now there's the Saranac IPA, and they do their big their trail mix, they call it, where they do a bunch of mix of their black and tans and all this different stuff. And it's really become popular. And on Thursdays in the summertime, there's 7 or 8, a lot like our Waterfront Wednesdays. It's Saranac Thursdays down in Utica, where they have a band, and the whole Varick Street in Utica is just it's crazy to see the culture that has come there and the bars that have been built in that area, and then just they're really the anchor that this brewery is for that town.
Which is just like what you were saying about 1020. You just want it to be the place that people come together around, and whether or not that's at the tap room or whether that's at a music concert or
that's our goal.
So I will say earlier when you said Saranac Thursdays in another story, I thought you had said Saturday Night Thursdays.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that
sounds
sounds like an awesome just culture. It's oh yeah, Thursday, it's Saturday night now.
Saturday night, yeah.
Saturday Night Thursdays.
It basically is. I mean,
Thirsty
if you're known to go to a Thursday, Saranac Thursdays, everyone knows oh, you went to Thursday, Saranac Thursday the night before, on a Friday, you're probably not either not coming to work or you're not doing much that day. So.
That's me every day.
Yeah.
How do you like to recover after a strong night of drinking?
Well, I mean, a good meal. Obviously, a good greasy meal. When I lived in New York, obviously a big bacon, egg, and cheese, just the freshest thing I can find. But a big meal, sleeping it off, lamely. I just put up a pool, which is fun. That's nice to float in now. But just water,
nice little above ground,
crushing water. Yeah, big above ground.
Oh yeah, you are in Kentucky now, my friend. I love it.
Do you ever do the whole wait 12 hours and order a whole pizza and eat it?
No, but that sounds great.
I've done that before.
I should do that.
That's me.
I'm a big order a pizza, eat one piece, and then put it in the fridge and let it get cold, and then eat it the next day. I love cold pizza.
I was about to say, you have restraint. There's no.
Well, you order 2, right? You order one for the night, and then, or you order the biggest pie. I wrecked myself one night at the Post because I do love the Post for pizza, and I ordered their large pizza because I was whatever, you always order the biggest, and they had big pizzas.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Have you eaten a lot of pizza in Louisville?
I've tried. Yeah, I've tried to eat all the good spots that people say.
You wanna rank a few?
Rank, yeah.
Rank a few. Scale 1 to 10.
I don't want to do 1 to 10. I'll do my favorites.
What if I have a list and you can
How many bites? How many bites?
How many bites?
How many slices are in pizza? 8? How many slices? 1 out of 8.
1 out of 8. Okay. Yeah. If you have a list, then yes.
Sure. You're a New York guy. You got your New York pizza, this shit down here in Kentucky. Is that a good New York accent?
No, his name was Country. Horrible. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah,
I think we're going to stick with that. I do have a short list of pizza places in Louisville, and I figured you would probably have a good indication on these. I do as well.
They're not all supposed to be winners, too. So feel free to give us your honest opinion.
I'll give you your honest opinion, yes.
Honest opinion. Okay. So it's a pizzeria that is very Louisville to me.
Yeah.
In Pelizzaris.
Old school.
I've never had it. I obviously need to go if it's old school.
It is, yeah. It's
old school for Louisville.
Okay.
You want me? If we has no opinion, should we talk about it or should we just pass?
You're already talking.
Just pass. All right. No, I'm gonna give my opinion.
Yeah, no, let me hear about it because that's another thing. Like, I've only been here for 3 years, so I want to know the spots to go to because I just go. I'm like a true Louisvillian. Now I only travel like 5 minutes away from my house. When in New York, I would drive like 3 hours to go somewhere. But like, yes, tell me all the spots to go get pizza.
In Paul's Aries, it's too much cheese and it's too greasy the way you guys do it. Everything is okay. Everything is 8 out of 10, but it's too much cheese and it's too insane. What do you guys?
Are we talking thin crust, Detroit style? Like,
no, it's a full bread pizza.
Yeah, it's just a regular pan pizza.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
No.
It's too much cheese. It gets greasy. It's too much cheese. The cheese masks everything else.
It's fine.
All right.
it's middle of the road, but it's extremely.
I've never had a pizza in my life where I was like, man, I really just wish I didn't eat that.
Same.
So,
yeah. Same. I mean, I'll eat in Paul's Aries right now. Let's not get crazy. Go ahead.
Next one I have is Craft House Pizza, which formerly was like Hometown Pizza, and that comes in a thin or a thick crust.
Yeah. So I've only ever had Craft Bash, or I'm sorry, I've only had Craft House at Craft Bash.
Yeah.
And it's good. I do like it. We're rating it on pizza scale.
Yeah, let's do 1 out of 8.
1 out of 8.
Whatever.
I would give it
slices.
I'd give it middle of the road. I'd give it like a 5.
5 slices.
5 slices.
For me, Craft House, I think they nailed the toppings really well.
I need to try more. Like that was like an impartial like score because I haven't like I've gone there to get beer, but it was after I went to what's the burrito place right down there? New Wave. We went to New Wave and then we went to Craft House to get beer. So I didn't like get food there the one time I've been down there. But yes, I need to go back and like actually try it because I've heard good things.
Yeah, I will shout out.
And they do the pan style, right? Like
they also do a thin crust, which is what I would recommend.
Yeah,
their thin crust is banging.
Thin crust is my favorite, so I would try.
Their wings are really good, and their cheese fries are not to be messed with.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, Michael and I have been through several of their pizzas. What I especially appreciate from them is that if you want a specialty pizza, it's basically the same price as a regular pizza. Like if you want barbecue bacon or like a chicken Bianca, or
I want both of those.
Their cheeseburger, Tom's Way specifically.
Yeah,
okay,
it's great, and that's with pickles and like a quasi Big Mac sauce. I think.
Oh, that sounds great. I do love pickles and Big Mac sauce. That's great.
All right, next one, Spinelli's.
Spinelli's is good for a slice. Like that's what I miss in New York is walking up and being like, "Can I get a slice of this?" You know what I mean? It's great. Like I need to eat something right now. That looks like it hasn't been there for 13 years. Let's get that slice right.
Are you talking about the Burt Reynolds mural?
Yeah,
and the downtown or the Bardstown?
That one probably. I don't know.
That does look like it's been there for 13 years, but the pizza, very good.
Yeah, again like 4 or 5 slices out of 8 if we're doing that kind of thing. It's middle of the road. It's one of those places where you go there and like this slice was really good, or you go there another time and like this slice is horrible. You know what I mean? So it's consistency is the key there, right? I think any place that's open so late, they're gonna get a lot of turnover, unfortunately, and then the consistency is hard to keep up. So.
It's a good slice. It's there when you need it.
It's there when you need it. That's my problem. Like with Louisville, like they'll serve you bourbon till 4 o'clock in the morning. There's no place that's open past like 10 o'clock, and it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, I need something to eat. I've been drinking all night long.
Yeah.
So Spinelli's is clutch in that moment, and I don't care what they have. I will eat anything they have in front of me.
Pro tip: if you order Spinelli's past like maybe 11 or midnight, they make you pay over the phone because they'll just leave the pizza at your door. And let me tell you, it is not good for eating.
You'll fall asleep. It's on the porch at that point.
Yeah. I've done that a handful of times.
Yeah.
You already mentioned the Post, so I'm gonna skip that one. We already know that's like a.
Well, I want to talk about it. The Post is my favorite slice spot in town.
Same here.
Favorite slice spot. Favorite place to get like a good traditional piece of pizza. Like that's my. It's not my favorite pizza, but it's my favorite traditional like slice pizza.
The other one this is my contribution, and this is very specific just for your neighborhood, and it's already closed down. Trifecta.
I never went there. Where was that? I don't even know.
Trifecta. It's Lower Bronzeboro, kind of just past the Dirty Kroger. It was
Shut up, Dirty Kroger. I mean, people hate on it, but it's there when you need it.
It's there.
I've shopped there.
It's like,
Trifecta was this place that lasted for about a year, maybe, and it was called Trifecta because you could go there and get tacos, salad, or pizza through the drive-thru.
Why did I never hear about
Oh,
this?
wait. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's in the Browns, like adjacent to Brownsboro Plaza,
Yes.
and is now
Something club or
it's a club that was somewhere else that's now that is like bumping, and I wish I could go there, but I am not cool enough to go there. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, I actually went there once, didn't get pizza, got a burrito, and it was pretty good. But yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've never had their pizza though, so
I don't think anybody has, so that's why they
well,
closed.
they were like adjacent from a Papa John's, which is like kind of weird.
It is
like,
not Louisville pizza. Nobody in Louisville knows about it, but
No.
knowing that you are just like
Virtue,
right around
Virtue Club is what it is
Virtue,
now.
yeah.
And they're bumping, and they look like a great time. Go check them out.
You just mentioned Papa John's. You know, it is Louisville, or at least Southern Indiana originating pizza. Papa John's.
Papa John's.
Give us your rating on that one.
I don't know a rating, but I know it's better than Domino's because I'm not a Domino's fan. Because like it's fine. Again, like I said, pizza is pizza, not pizza's pizza, but pizza's okay, right? Like you can have a bad pizza and not be mad at it.
There's such a thing as good pizza and bad pizza, and like they can have their own categories.
Yeah,
almost.
Domino's, I put it in my mouth and it comes right out of me the other end.
Yeah, dude. I understand.
I don't have good Domino's experiences in my life. So everyone looks at me like I have three eyes when I say that, but like I prefer.
No, I'm with you.
I would prefer a Papa John's pizza than Domino's pizza.
And it's way better cold, like the next day.
Hold the racism. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I've got one more on this list.
Do you go to New York?
Well, no. I am pivoting.
Okay.
Executive decision. Bernos. Louisville Pizza. They call themselves Louisville Pizza.
I've never heard of it.
Bernos is good.
They have, what'd you say?
I like Bernos.
Bernos.
Mhm.
Bernos.
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 There you go.
Okay.
Bernos.
Multiple locations throughout Louisville. Some people love it. I don't really care about it one way or the other,
Okay.
but there are multiple locations. So
It's as close to like Detroit style without being. It's like a thick like focaccia.
I actually like, from being from New York and
Yeah.
living in New York City, I actually love a Detroit style piece of pizza. Like if it's done right, I love that thick, crusty, like melted burnt
edge.
cheese in the edge. Like I that's one of my like, I have like a list of the Americas that I want to go to and like go to these cities and like try their fairs, right? And one of them is Detroit, and I want to try like actual true Detroit style. But that's why I like Emmy Squared. They're way overpriced, but they're good.
It is good though.
Yeah.
Have you had Jets?
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Every time I love Jets. When we do it to go pizza, that's my pizza that I want to do. I get true Jersey style New York and yell out, Jets call JETS, Jets. Like that's what I want. Like if we're gonna do to go pizza, it's Jets because I love that. Thick, like again the thick crust. And my girlfriend made one mistake one time. That's all she's ever made was order not the thin crust pizza, not make the thin crust pizza. And I was like, what is this? Like this isn't Jets. This is.
Yeah, I had a friend that one time I was like, Jets is awesome. Like it's good. They like buy the 8 corner and they're like, no, we got the thin crust. I'm like, what the fuck are you?
What are you doing?
It was terrible.
If you don't get the 8 corner and the deep dish cheese bread like combo that they do, like you're not doing it right.
And if you don't text in your order and get 30% off,
that is aggressive. I'm just gonna say like their whole marketing scheme with that is aggressive, but I'm here for it.
you can just text in like 8CRNR
Yeah.
pep and they'll be like, oh, you ordered an 8 corner pepperoni pizza.
Yeah.
You're like,
It's
oh,
like-
somebody read that.
We're
Great.
doing like binary over there. And just,
I learn
like,
something new
things
every
amazing.
time we do a podcast.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's right.
We no opinion necessary. Matzo pie is obviously amazing too.
Yeah, no, I that's it's because it's different styles. Like when people talk about pizza, right? They need to talk about styles of pizza, and if you're not educated on what a style of pizza is, then you're not really talking about pizza, right? So
Like
I don't like
double IPAs. It was too hoppy.
exactly,
Yeah.
right? So the wood fire, not wood fire, but like fired pizza, like Neapolitan style, like matzo pie, great. I love them. Obviously, they're in our places. Go check them out. They're good pies. But like my favorite pizza place, if we're off your
Please.
list here, is Pizza Lupo. They are doing the best quality pizza in this town because of just the experimental fun stuff that they're throwing on their pies. And do not sleep on their wraps because they're like chicken cutlet like wrap things they're doing is amazing over there. Again, they're one of the people in town that like a little pricey, but it's one of those ones where it's like I'm not mad that I just spent this much money on it because it's good, and they have a great natural wine selection, which I'm also like a weirdo about. I love natural wine. But for another great slice, I don't know if you guys have seen this place. It's out front of Taj a lot. They come to the
pizza as fuck.
Pizza as fuck.
Yeah.
That pizza is pizza as fuck, and it's really good pizza out of a truck, and they're doing their thing over there. Again, kind of pricey, but like they're good.
So
and I shout out the food trucks, like they're doing their thing.
That has a legacy in Louisville.
Does it? Okay, I don't know about it.
Don't know about it.
Yeah, I had it a while ago, and I was like, damn, this is pizza as fuck. Like it's good.
That was previously a storefront.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And they did great work.
Yeah, I mean they're making good pie out of that truck, so I'm not mad about whatever they're doing.
I am so hungry right now, though. I love pizza, and I wish there was something in this room right now that could scratch that itch.
Yeah, we can. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna scratch that itch, but it's definitely pizza.
So is your second part of the show and tell segment some.
Yeah. So shout out again, Utica, New York. This I brought you guys because you asked me to bring something that I love, and I love food culture and a lot like beer culture, right? You bring a nice beer, you share it with your friends. Same thing with food culture. I come from the traditional family. Like we go to church on Sunday and then we go to grandma's house afterwards and have family dinner. And then I continue that on as I got older in my life with my friends. We had Sunday sauce. We'd eat food together. That's what I love is community, driving that narrative and having fun with your friends and making a nice plate of something, drinking some good wine, some good beer and stuff like that. I'm just a people person at heart. That's what I love. I brought you some. If I can pick it up. Tomato pie. So this is a bastardized version of tomato pie.
It looks pretty fucking good to me.
So tomato pie is traditionally like it's from Utica, New York. I was looking it up today. There's some families that have been doing this for generations, like 50, 60 years. They've been making tomato pie. It's basically like a thinner focaccia, so it's not as thick as this. Shout out Matzo Pie. They make a great focaccia loaf. I called them in a pinch and they were like, yeah, we got you. We'll get you some focaccia. So I used their focaccia bread. I made a red sauce. So that's one of my favorite things to do is make sauce for like food wise. Like when people ask me, because I was a cook for a long time, like what's your favorite thing to do? I like to make sauces, especially when you've got like fresh tomatoes and stuff like that. Shout out Kentucky. You guys grow tomatoes like crazy. Tomatoes grow awesome in this state.
Tomatoes this season.
Yeah, they grow great here. So that was one of the first tasks I ever got here when I moved here because I lived with my brother-in-law and my sister for the first year, and they're like, "We have so many tomatoes, do something." And I made like enough sauce for us to have for a year. And I made a quick sauce, so it's a canned tomatoes. If you've ever seen The Bear, great show. I used the whole tomato, peeled tomato steamed. Same brand that they have in the canned sauce.
Like
tomatoes.
San Marzano or whatever.
San Marzano tomatoes, peeled. When you make a quick sauce, if you don't know, the best thing to do is get whole tomatoes, tomato sauce, not seasoned, no salt, tomato paste, again, no salt. It doesn't matter. Kroger brand, who cares? If you can get fresh tomatoes, that's the key, and just boil it down. I made this thing I made the sauce in like a half an hour because it's all canned. If you're using regular tomatoes, you need to like boil it down. It takes a couple hours. But this, just season the hell out of it. Trick on this one, most tomato pie when you get it, it's not going to be a little spicy. I put a little bit of chili spice in this, so it makes it nice.
We're spicy boys.
Yeah, so tomato pie, Utica, New York. It's basically focaccia bread baked with tomato sauce and a bunch of Romano. I only had Parmesan, but like not really good Parmesan. It's fresh grated Parmesan, but it's not like the good stuff. And yeah, it's just focaccia, red sauce, and it's usually served room temperature. Like you walk in there. I have a funny story. When I was working for an electrical distribution company when I was younger, I called somebody and too many plates.
What, do you not want an edge piece?
I called the local tomato pie spot. I was like, hey, we would like to order a couple pies. Can we like pre-order them? And they're like, there's an Italian man. What are you talking about? We have pies for day. Come get them. And it's like, it's always ready to go. And yeah, it's this is not going to be as good as what you'd get in New York, but it's my closest thing that I can make. So yeah.
Hey, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Hey.
So it's just bread, sauce, and cheese, basically.
This bread is amazing.
Yeah. Matzo Pie makes really, I mean, like their foundation, if you don't know, they made bread. They, Tom, their owner and founder, teaches bread baking. Like he's a renowned bread baker.
So Liz Vale, who's been on the podcast before, actually went to the class.
Yeah.
That I believe Tom like taught
yeah.
about how to make bread this way,
Yeah.
and then brought me some Parmesan rosemary bread.
So good.
It's amazing. Like,
Yeah.
It's one thing I love to cook too, but I've never been good at A, sauces, and B, bread, just because I don't have the patience for it, and I just season as I go,
Bread's
and I
tough.
taste as
Bread's
I go.
tough. Like
And this like takes time to like make it happen.
not bad.
Like there's some like 48-hour like fermentations for bread and stuff. I'm not doing all that.
Yeah, bread's tough. I stick to the sauces and buy good bread from good bakers. I'm
yeah.
a baker nerd. I wish I could say I could bake. Like I have the stuff. I've been bought the stuff plenty of times for like go bake some bread, but it's a passion in all its own, and you need to learn that. I'm more of like the cook end, so I go source good bread from good people and then use that. But
I already knew that I wanted a second slice, so I got it. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it was really good.
So I made the sauce. I did make that, but the bread is all matzo pie, and then just fresh Parmesan is great.
I always think there's a thing too, like I feel like America is fighting a war on bread and wheat. We all like a lot of people have gluten shit. A lot of people have like whatever. But I feel like a lot of the bread that we're eating is not really bread. It's more of like an industrial byproduct that people branded as bread, like in 1970 something or whatever.
Yeah.
But having some bread that some like yeast and some bacteria actually acted on to build those big bubbles, or even starting with that like different strain of wheat, like they use over in Europe, or that didn't have like the glyphosate sprayed all over it or whatever.
Yeah. And the water too.
And the water too.
The water
yeah.
they use.
Yeah.
A lot like beer making. Like, I mean, bread baking and beer making is a lot similar, right? Like
that was the two original like feet of humanity. Like if you go back to like the Sumerians or whatever, it was like the two legs of the goddess Ninkasi were like beer and bread.
Yeah.
All the stuff that you could grow from the grains sprouted from the grace of Ninhursag or whatever. Like,
You put this way down. Like
this is delicious, man.
I literally threw this together. I had no idea how it was going to be.
The sauces.
Y'all need to come though to Utica, New York, to Roma's. I'm Bleecker. They're the thing about the actual traditional tomato pie. It's thinner, and the bread is set up in a way where like the crust is pronounced, almost like a pizza. Obviously, it's traditionally square, but then it's a little lower in the center, so the sauce can be the star, and then the cheese is on top. But then it's always finished. Well, the good ones at least are finished with a nice garlic butter spread around the crust, so it bakes on just right. And you go pick it up, and then it's the perfect. It's actually really great for the summertime because it's served at room temp. You cut it up in nice little like hors d'oeuvre style, and it's just so good. But yeah, no,
the peppers in this too.
Yeah, chili paste, man. That'll
you have a couple little bites, and it starts to build.
Yeah, that's me doing that because I like spice. I put hot sauce on everything.
No, this is awesome.
There's so much shit that's wrong in the world, and everything is terrible. And we look at the news every day, and you're like, but then you just like eat good food with friends, or you drink beer with friends. You like that's the antidote to the nihilism of like the 21st century.
When you asked me, like, I was a little nervous about coming on, obviously, because it's it's a podcast and stuff like that. But I was more nervous about when you asked me, like, what do I love? And I was just like, damn, like I consider myself like a person who, like I said earlier, says yes to things and does fun things, and like I like a lot of things, but my biggest like passion is just people and like hanging out with people, enjoying people's company, and like what better they do, drink good beer or good drinks and have some good food that you've made and talk about it and love it. So
I know one of your other passions though, and it's hip hop.
Oh yeah.
So I pulled the XXL freshman list earlier today.
Oh,
have you looked at that?
No, but
no.
No.
Wait. What does that even mean? Fill me in. But
so every year, XXL. Sorry, I'm talking to my mouthful. It's a brand now for hip hop. It started off as a magazine, but they do a feature where they bring out the newest and brightest stars. They might not even be new, but they're actually like
they're not up and coming. It's like they're coming.
Yeah, they're like culturally relevant and like in that time, right? And they come out with a list every year. It's kind of controversial sometimes because they bring out people that have been
I can imagine.
Yeah. And I haven't looked at this year because I hate to say this, but like Kentucky's consuming my soul, and I've been listening to a lot of country lately, and I love some Tyler Childers, some Sturgill, all that kind of stuff. But I've also been into weird. I'm getting older now, and I'm into some like weird jazz fusion, like EDM stuff. But,
Penguin Cafe Orchestra?
No, but I will check it out. Definitely send me a playlist. But
that's my shit.
But I would love to hear it. Let me hear it.
I took a brief break earlier to look at it.
Yeah.
The last time I looked at XSL freshman list, like 21 Savage was on.
Is there any chance I'm going to know any of these artists? Probably not.
Probably not. If you don't listen to hip hop and R&B, then probably
I don't
not.
listen to anything.
Yeah. Okay, then no.
No. I'll run through real quick and see if you
There might be some that I know. Yeah.
You would. I know a few of these. Fitness 2 times.
Nope.
Lola Brooke.
Nope.
That sounds familiar, but I don't know.
Rob 49.
No, but that's a great name.
Friday with 2 Y's.
See, I'm also horrible at names.
So maybe you've heard the song.
I might have heard because I always try to like listen to the new Music Friday and like play the playlist on Spotify, and try to listen to like the new artists coming out, but I haven't.
Isn't it funny now that Spotify is the gatekeeper of where we hear new music?
Yeah, or
rather
any
than,
of them,
like-
right? Apple Music or
Yeah. What did it used
Tidal,
to be?
whatever it is. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Not to interrupt this, but someone did inform me the other day that like YouTube Premium is basically like a better platform for artists to release their music because 1, they incur the ad revenue, and 2, they can put out whatever they want. So like Spotify, it like has to be in an album and a format, and there's a live piece to it, and they don't make any money to it.
Yeah.
But if you do it on YouTube, they can put out like live versions of whatever songs they want or
That's
whatever they recorded personally.
Yeah.
So I've used Spotify for like 8 or 9 years now, and I'm like pretty religious about it. It's really easy to like pop it in, go to a daily mix, and I've got like my stuff to go walk the dog, or if I'm at the gym, I know it's daily mix 4.
Listen to your
But I'm kind of no, never. But I am curious about YouTube Premium and how that could work.
I think as a subscriber to YouTube Premium too, it essentially works like Spotify. Like you can just listen to
YouTube music's been around for a long time. Like that's another thing. Like you're talking about music. I'm a big music person. I've literally had every music app you can think of. I've had the titles, the YouTube Music, Apple Music, Spotify. I had the original OG Rhapsody back in the day.
Rhapsody
was like a big one that came out, and they're like,
I'm still here for SoundCloud.
LimeWire, were you a big fan of that?
LimeWire, I mean Frostwire, all that stuff. Like you had to like throw computers away because you downloaded so much music, amongst other things, right?
Music.
But yes, no, I mean, I'm a big music fan. I mean, I'm also like, I like records. I'm not there yet where I'm buying like a brush for my records and like getting really nerdy about it, but I do appreciate the culture of it and like buying a nice record and doing that and scanning through them and stuff like that. But like, I don't know. I think music, especially if you look into the local communities of like where it comes from and like learn your local music in your area, right? And like what's cool. It speaks a lot like food and beer, right? And just like, what's trending in that area for a reason, right? So hip hop and R&B and stuff like that is one of those ones that like not forgotten about. Obviously, it's like one of the biggest platforms in the world right now. But it also is like people don't think about it as what it is, right? It's poetry in motion, and they're talking about their surroundings and their areas and their culture and like what you see. So that's why I like it.
The ability to like capture that in words is the art of it, you know.
I mean, your favorite country song might have 17 words in it repeated 3 times.
Yeah.
A hip hop song might have like 137 of them. So like it's, the what they cram into that moment of time can be substantial in its own sense.
And when you take the time to like listen to a verse and like actually digest it, then a lot of times it paints a picture that you just couldn't just formulate that on your own.
No.
And you may not resonate with it, but the ability to like make that picture extremely distinct, unique, and just so fluid, and then just be like, and there's a banging beat behind it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's what drives it, right? Like
Yeah.
you're on beat with that. And the older I get, the more I get even nerdier about that and learn more about it, right? Because like a juvenile song sounds a lot different when you're like 14 than it does when you're 35.
Listening to it on NPR.
Yeah. Oh, don't even get me started. That was one of the best NPR Tiny Desks I've ever seen in my life.
Fantastic.
I mean, he brought out like John Baptiste and
Manny
like
Fresh,
like orchestra from New Orleans. Like it's ridiculous. But NPR, like those kind of platforms too nowadays have just like changed music culture. Right, like it'd be like if we're sitting here in this room right now, and then Manny Fresh just walks in here and starts laying a beat down. Like it's wild to me that like they have that culture that they can just pull from and expand expanded out to the world, right? Like I remember at a young age sitting there watching BET late night and watching the videos that came on. So I knew way before anybody else who Mike Jones and Paul Wall were. Who? 281-330-8004. But yes, that culture, like alone, just like the information that we have available today and age is wild, and just Spotify and all those platforms it's just so cool to like, I really nerd out and just get into the platform and just like, oh, you like this? Check this person out. And then I'll play that person's playlist, and then I'll play a person from that person's playlist, and just get like really go down the rabbit hole of Spotify and find some weird stuff that I've never heard before, and
which is something that we've never been able to do before.
No, like that's
entirely new.
It's wild. Yeah.
And you said you've like semi-adopted American country,
well,
like
I mean,
modern folk.
I don't want to say adopted, because like I was, again, raised in the country, growing up on Patsy Cline and George Strait. Like my mom she loves to say, shout out Cindy Freeman. She likes to say,
you're a Kentuckian.
She likes to say, I was country before country was cool. So like, I knew Patsy Cline from heart to toe. I grew up on the Chicks. So like, I know that stuff, but like, as soon as I heard, I transitioned from rock. I'll be like real crazy story. Listen to like Limp Bizkit, Korn way back in the day when I was young, and then they bring out like Method Man and Redman, like who are some of the best performers of our lifetime, like and then you get down that rabbit hole, and then Eminem came out and it was over with, because then I'm like, oh, I can really listen to this like weird millennial things, but I just R&B, and then now as older I get, the more I'm into like the music aspect of it. So jazz now, I feel like an old man saying this, but like jazz is ridiculously cool.
Miles Davis is actually really good.
Yeah,
I never appreciated it, but he's fucking good as shit.
And it's fun to like listen to a jazz playlist and be like, just the other day I was doing it in the brewery. I'm a big proponent. As soon as I took over as head brewer, I put in Google like speakers throughout the whole brewery so we can listen to whatever we want to, and we're just bumping music in there. And I was listening to some like jazz, Afro beats, kind of like cool playlist, and I'm hearing it. I'm like, that's a Jennifer Lopez song. Like, what is that? And like, sure shit, it's a song. And like the playing and the remixing and the like, working off those beats, like any really good 90s, early 2000 hip hop song is derived from some jazz beat. So
that's a fun thing about getting older too, is like you don't care about being cool anymore. So you start going to look at the older shit, and then you like see that just like exactly what you were saying. And you see the same thing in like beer. You see the same thing in like literature. You see the same thing in art and like movies. Yeah. But you see the progression, and that becomes its own art form in a way.
100%.
Yeah. But 10 years ago, you like I said, you adopted a little bit of country music. Sergil Simpson performed in Sun King Brewery, and that was right after Meta Modern Sounds came out.
Yeah.
If you had the opportunity to have a artist perform in 1020 Brewery, who would it be?
Alive or dead?
Alive or dead? Yeah, that's my question. Alive or dead?
Alive.
Alive.
John, this question is for Berto.
Alive. Okay. Alive, right off the top, Jay-Z would be number one. I would have Hove in my brewery, just going at it.
Acapella?
Jay-Z Unplugged MTV is one of the best albums. If you've never heard that in your life, like, I don't know what you're doing with it. It's one of the best things I've ever had. Then just like deep rooted. Obviously, like, it's hard for me because like, especially with today's day and age, like we're in my age group, we're in a weird transition where like 30 plus year olds are like, oh, nothing's going to be as good as 90s hip hop. Like, well, you're not listening to the right hip hop because like Isaiah Rashad and JID and Samino and like all these people are doing really great hip hop, and you're just not venturing out off of what's on the top 10 list, and you really need to get in there. So like there's new artists that every day that come out and like really surprise me and are just really good. So it would have to be kind of a question that's like, who's relevant at that time? Like, who am I really feeling right then? Like, right now, I'm super into women R&B, like Jasmine Sullivan's, like the Tens, just super into like who is new. I've always been like that way. Who's new? Who's fresh? Who's pushing the boundary? Who's doing their thing? And like also keeping it close to the end. Of course, I would love Jay-Z, anybody, like, Juvenile, like, Outkast, like, anybody, like, from the 90s, but hands off, top of the deck. Who I want first is Jay-Z's like my favorite rapper. He's always has been and always will be. Probably.
I feel like that question demands a selfish answer, and I think that's a pretty cool.
Yeah, because that's my favorite. Obviously, I mean, I went to Jay-Z, and I've seen Jay-Z twice. I've seen him in Massachusetts at the Gillette Stadium, the On the Run tour with Beyonce and Jay-Z. Great show. I've seen him at Yankee Stadium with Eminem and Jay-Z home to home tour where they did the shows in Detroit and they did them in Manhattan. And that was crazy. That performance alone, that tells you how like kind of old I am. Is J. Cole.
Please.
J. Cole was the opener, and like nobody knew who the hell he was. We were still filing into the seats, and J. Cole's out there like
From Lexington.
yeah. Is he from Lexington? No, J. Cole. You're thinking of Bryson Tiller.
Yeah.
Bryson Tiller.
I'm gonna hurt myself after
Yeah.
this.
Yes.
So
I think J. Cole's from North Carolina.
No,
he also
you're
lived in
100%
Queens,
right.
but yeah.
I-
Bryson Tiller. I mean, that's the great thing about Louisville too. I mean, like we're kind of popping. I don't want to say like what's popping. Like we're
poppin'.
kind of popping right now.
I don't understand that reference.
I mean, Bryson Tiller. Like I don't like to say people. Oh, Jack Harlow. Obviously, he's great, and I think he's a great musician, and he's doing his thing. But like Bryson Tiller's been out here doing it for a minute, and he's great. And there's really some great artists here in this town. I mean, like shout out Scott T. Hicks. If you've never seen him before, like he's a great local artist. I mean, there's just, and that's the thing that I need to get more back into is going out. And like now that I feel like kind of comfortable in my spot right now. I mean, obviously there's more to learn every single day than what I'm doing, but I'm like, I'm doing it. We're making beer. We're serving customers. I need to get back out there and go out and see more artists and get more into that culture. Cause I've heard that, at one point Louisville was like a great music city and still is, but like it was really eccentric back
It
then.
is.
The pandemic like hurt everything, obviously.
I need to invite everyone to murder me in the comments because I messed that up.
It's
okay.
par for the course.
So
That's
we've never done this before, but I do want to give you some homework.
Okay.
I want you to create a mixtape for
Us.
Louisville Ale Trail.
Yeah.
All right.
Doesn't have to be based on this conversation specifically. Just create something that you think that we'd like.
Okay. Well, fun fact: if you go to my Instagram, I have
Shout out
my Instagram.
handle?
It's public. I don't know, Berto Fred Free, I think it is, or whatever. I don't even know what my handle is. If you go to my Instagram, it's in my link to bio is my one of my playlists for Spotify, and my homework is going and updating it because I haven't updated it in years. But I always put whatever I post on Instagram, the traditional millennial. Oh, I'm feeling this, so I'm going to post it so everyone can see it because I miss MySpace in my top 8 and like what's feeling it right now.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah, I do it too all the time. I love it. No hate. I do it too. Whatever I posted on Instagram, I would then it's called the Bangers playlist because I'm dumb. It would be.
Hey, that sounds good to me, man.
It was on. I
I
post it onto that playlist, so it's I will update it for you, and then you should check it out.
That sounds
sure.
great. We'll listen to it. We'll also post, as John says,
In the
link
show notes.
In the show notes. And now we have some Louisville news to share. David?
So we've been announcing the Louisville Beer Week collab list every week so far. There's going to be about 10 weeks of it. Last week we announced Pivot and Rye.
Mm-hmm.
And this week, you don't know because I haven't sent you
I have
anything
no
yet,
idea.
but it is going to be 1020 and Apocalypse.
Oh, that's great. I like that. Leia is awesome. She's like a staple here in Louisville. If you haven't been to her place, please go check it out. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited to I want to go do it at her place and check that out.
We're
excited.
both in Butchertown.
Both in Butchertown. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
we're real close. It'll be fun. I'm excited for that. Keep it
I am
Butchertown
too.
local.
Leah's been there forever,
Yeah,
and
doing great stuff.
that's kind of a rude statement, but she's like an OG in the craft beer community. I don't think she'll mind me saying that.
She's written rules.
like,
and
like she
guidelines.
literally wrote the book on
Yeah,
the Kentucky
no,
Common.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and to have you guys in here with all the energy and the production and like the ways to get beers out into the market and like reaching out to people who are in your network, I feel like it's the perfect coming together of like the Butchertown breweries.
Yeah.
The old and new makes everything.
I mean, that, like I said earlier, like that's what I love about Louisville is that you get to sit and you get to learn from these people who've been doing it for a lot longer than I have.
Oh, well, you'll
And
teach you a thing or two.
Yeah, and I'm excited to like absorb her knowledge. Like that's always been my thing is like be a sponge, right? These people have been doing it. Like they are your senior for a reason. They've been doing it and they're still doing it, and achieving success in it. And I'm excited to learn from her. So for sure, that'd be awesome.
and it's gonna be fun as shit to go drink the beer at
Yeah,
the tap
heck
rooms.
yeah,
like,
hell yeah.
I want that
do
collab.
some-
Whatever
we
you
gotta-
guys decide
We got
to
to
do.
do some fun stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. As always, the next few weeks, just keep listening to the podcast as we kind of trinkle these announcements out. And then we'll do one big announcement, of course, after the fact. And then I know that A-Train has some news as well, David.
Atrium partnered last year with the Louisville Bats to do a Bat Boy beer. It's a good time. They got to throw out a couple of pitches. Great beer. They've partnered again with them this year, which is awesome. I love to see, like you said, like a local partnership like coming together. This year they are going to do a Mercia Lager. Michael knows a little bit more about like the branding pieces of this, but league teams kind of like take on a different identity.
So whether it's AAA or AA, I'm not sure if it's specific to all around, but basically the Major League Baseball and those divisions encourage teams from all around the country to have a little bit more fun with their team names to attract some local business. So sometimes you'll see the Louisville Bats take on the mantle of the Mashers, and they do like some fun barrel type of theming. Sometimes they are the Mint Juleps and take on some mint julep types of themes, and what I mean by that is like in both their uniforms and in their names. But they've also been doing some Hispanic names and shout outs as well, and kind of changing things up. I believe the bat was an important staple in the Aztec culture, and so when they wanted to do some of the Hispanic League play, they wanted to kind of name the bats after
Messier Lagos.
Yes.
Messier Rogos, I think.
Yeah. And Atrium's doing a Mexican lager in homage to that, calling it the Messier
Lagers. Messier Lagers.
Yeah.
I love Mexican lager.
Even though technically it would be like Mercia Cerveza or whatever, but we're just going to allow it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Sure. It's fine with me. Blending, it's a culture, it's a melting pot.
Yeah. Either way, it's fun. I'm really happy for both the Bats and the Atrium to continue this partnership in a little bit of a different way than they were doing before.
And the Bats is like a Reds farm team, right?
Exactly.
The Reds are hot right now.
The Reds are the hottest, funnest team in baseball right now.
They're a great time to watch right now.
What's that about?
They are just being cool right now. Like, this is the first time I remember, like, kind of what the Bengals were doing 2 years ago when all of the Bengals, the Bengals were cool. And now the Reds are cool. So Cincinnati, all of a sudden, just like one of the best pro teams in the nation. Maybe, I don't know. Ellie De La Cruz, though. I mean, I was watching him at the beginning of the season at the Bats, and now all of a sudden he's the hottest player in MLB.
Kentucky sports. What are we doing, guys? Come on, come on.
I don't know.
Come on.
We're investing in baseball.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm for it. And if you can catch a Bats game, I mean,
there's so much fun. I mean, like, go get the $2 beers on like, cheap beer night or just anytime. Like, it's a lot of fun. It's
just
a good time.
Hang out.
Yeah.
Go to Against the Grain, grab a couple beers, run upstairs.
It's a great time.
Stay. If they're winning by 12, go downstairs and get another beer.
If they're losing by 12, go downstairs, get another beer. It's fine either way.
It's a win-win.
But yeah, we've been talking about baseball so long now, so I feel like I need to go home and probably catch a game before it gets too late. So, Berto, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
we really appreciate you sharing some beers and the tomato pie and
tomato pie.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you have anything that you'd like to plug either for 1020 or yourself though coming up?
I mean, catch us at this Summerfest in Nulu this year. I mean, obviously any new releases we have, check out our Instagram at any time and you can see all the new releases that we're just rolling out tonight. Actually, our new lime Pilsner. We're just calling it Key Lime Pils, like key lime pie. It's our traditional German style lager infused with key lime. It's great for summertime. Come on, check out the new cocktails list that we're doing too. We're doing some fun. We're doing a fun spritzer right now with our seltzer. Actually, is one of the bases that I make, and it's real good, refreshing. Just come out, check one of our 3 locations, and support the community.
Gotcha, John.
You guys know that I'm not a big video game player, but every once in a while I play video games. So I'm going to shout out a video game that was like made in 2018, I think, called Kingdom Come Deliverance, and it's set in like the early 14th, late 14th century Germany, like during the strange period where King Wenceslaus IV was set in between like King Skiersmagard, whenever they were having those like internal conflicts, and you're just this guy who gets his hammer stolen, and he's like just trying to find his way in the medieval times. And the whole point of the game is that it's like really realistic, so you like just die all the time. You can't live. Like, it's just, you just die. You just die over and over again. And then it's like, oh, this is what I was like to live in the Middle
Last
Ages.
of Us, where you just
get
killed all the time. You have like 3 bullets. Yeah.
So, shout out.
Sounds fun.
David?
That may be the most John video game I've ever heard of.
You pretend like you live in the Middle Ages and you just fucking die.
I need to introduce you to Bloodborne.
I don't like video games. I only like the ones where you just
I just
die.
got Switch and I'm stuck on the new Zelda. Like I love it.
I need to do that.
I'm up in it.
That
right now.
I'm caving that for winter.
I feel you.
When I can't go outside, that's what I'll do.
I'm going outside with my Switch. That's the nice part about it. Shout out Switch. You want to pay me? Like you take it anywhere and just play.
Collab.
I mainly take
right?
mine.
Collab with Switch. That'd be awesome.
I take mine on airplanes. I'm gonna shout out people with dogs. We are doing a collab with Monarch Beer Company, and we sourced a bunch of donations for Kentucky Humane Society.
Sold
Everybody
out in
gets
an
a little,
hour.
like a couple hours. But everybody gets a little picture of their dog on the beer label. It's gonna be
Nice.
super tight. My dog's on there, so I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
But Dog Days of Summer coming up in August 5th. And that'll be a good time for dogs and people alike. And there's going to be a really cool beer with a really cool label.
On my end, I just kind of recently started a new book called The Life and Death of Great American Cities by Jane Jacobs. It's been out for quite some time, and it's a book about basically just city building, city planning. But it's really interesting. And just the first few chapters, they talk about sidewalks and the importance of sidewalks in communities, and just the idea of, hey, if you, instead of, to your point, if you just walk in New York for 50 blocks, you get to know those 50 blocks really well. You get to know the people and the storefronts and everything. If you're just driving along, you don't necessarily get to have that same repertoire with anybody. So I don't know. I haven't finished the book yet. I'm not going to give it a full review, but I've really enjoyed what I've read so far. I also can't remember if I've already recommended this or not on the podcast.
No, I don't think you have.
This is new.
Cool. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Cool.
I was telling somebody about it. So
In video games, they have this idea called like the 15-second rule, where if you're trying to design like a really good video game, there should be something interesting to be able to see like every 15 seconds. I feel like that might apply to city planning.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So just go take a walk and say hi to your neighbor. That's my plug, I guess. And also
Especially
read
if you're in
this
Butchertown and you can visit 1020.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure.
To that point, Berto, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun.
Cheers.
I'm going to eat more tomato pie.
Yeah, me too.